What's up, everybody? Welcome to the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Diego Garcia. Today is Tuesday, May 25th. And every Tuesday, we're talking black and gold. We're talking LAFC. They had an impressive win. They had a great bounce back win. Carlos Vela played. Diego Rossi scored a brace. Everybody was happy. The mood around LAFC has changed, right? What can a win? Talk about what a win can do for a team. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce my guest. We got LAFC Live. Garrett, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on the show again, Gio. Very exciting week. It was a nice weekend, so we got a win. So I can't wait to talk about it. Very excited.
Yeah. And we also got Josue Lopez. Josue, how you doing, brother? Great to meet you, by the way.
Great to meet you at the stadium. It was good to be back at the bank. Garrett, nice to meet you. I have been a witness of your work at Twitter. It is a lot of fun to read you. I learned.
Thanks, man.
At the same time.
Appreciate it.
A quick story. So I was walking into the stadium, and then I ran into Josue, and then we had done the podcast right the week before, and I never realized. When I do the podcast with people, and and the show, I feel like I've met you already. So Josue goes like, "Hey man, it was a pleasure to because we're both going our separate ways, inside the stadium." Right. He was like, "It was a pleasure to meet you," and I was like, "Have we met?" And he's like, "No, this is like our first time meeting," and I was like. Right. But we did the show last week. I was just like playing it back in my mind, and I was like, "Oh, dang, this is the first time we've met."
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, where did you watch? Where did you end up watching the show, Garrett?
I watched it at my house, bro. Just my fiance and I just watching the game. It was a good one, man. I know you got some questions to ask us how we felt and whatnot, but it felt nice to get a big dub. So very exciting.
Yeah. A lot of things been going on with you, man. You're moving around. Any news you want to share with us?
Yeah, moving around, man. Moving out with my fiance. Undisclosed location. That's private.
Malibu.
No. Yeah, Hidden Hills, Calabasas. But no, it's exciting right now, man. And just grinding at work and just keeping up with the football, man. I can't stop. It's my passion. You got to keep up LAFC, and I got to keep. Well, actually, I'm excited that Arsenal's done for the season, bro. I don't want to talk about them anymore. I'm glad that season's over with. We got a big final this weekend, though. Man City, Chelsea. We could touch on that maybe. I'm very excited for that one. Looking really forward to that one.
Yeah, let's talk quickly about the Champions League because that's this weekend. I believe it was Saturday too. Is it Saturday as well?
The team in blue is gonna win. That's for sure.
So who do you guys have? Who do you guys have in the Champions League? Josue, I'll go first with you.
I am not a fan of either club. The type of teams that invest a lot of money out of nowhere and they get like new fans out of nowhere. However, I am a Guardiola guy, so I will go with Man City.
Man City. Garrett, what about you?
Well, I'm an Arsenal fan, man, as you know, so I can't be having Chelsea win this Champions League. My really good friend's a Chelsea fan. LAFC Hawaii is a Chelsea fan. I can't be having that. One of my best friends is a Man City fan, so I think Man City is going to win 3-2, and Guardiola's finally going to get that Champions League with Manchester City, and it'll be a great season for them.
Yeah,
I want to see Pulisic on the field, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This could potentially be Pulisic's last game. I don't know the way they've been treating him. It could be his last game or not. Edgar in the chat says up to Chelsea. So I think he's referring to Chelsea there. So I mean, I'm excited to see a good game, and we'll see what happens. I would like to see Christian Pulisic play a lot more. He's been impactful. I mean, talk about what he's done in the semifinal games, and all the Champions League, right? Crazy what an American can do in the biggest stage, when it comes to soccer. So that's me exciting. So then right after that, the LAFC game is also going to start off as well. So there's going to be a lot of things going on this weekend as well. So all right, let's get into it. Obviously, LAFC, we know they won 2-1. It was a very exciting game, right? And I think the biggest thing once everybody saw the lineup, right, and Carlos Vela was on the lineup, I think it kind of relieved a lot of people, and then I think this is the way you kind of want to start the game, right? Whether have him play where we know he played 60 minutes, but we didn't know at the start of the game how many minutes he was going to play. And I'll just go quickly over the lineup we have right here. Obviously, Pablo Cisnegas in goal. Chiqui Palacios, Eddie Segura, Murillo, and Blackburn all the way in the 4 back. Then you had Fuentes, Atuesta, K in the midfield, and then obviously Rossi, Baird, and Carlos Vela. What were you guys' thoughts on the lineup and obviously how the game shaped up? LAFC Live.
It was nice to see that lineup. I like to see Sifu starting. I know that Blessing, unfortunately was a casualty and didn't start. But I thought very solid lineup. Blackman was a little questionable for me. I thought maybe Kim Woo-Wan would have started, but I thought the lineup was a good by Bob. Just some adjustments here and there, maybe throughout the season we'll make. But seeing Vela start, that was a big plus. The group chat and I were hoping that we would see him at some point. We were hoping to start, so he did start. Got the 60 minutes. He looked really lively out there for him not playing a couple matches and coming off injury. Diego Rossi doing his thing. We need to get him in form. Actually, I think he's the guy that I really want to see take off this season, which he has in the past. Great 2 goals. Corey Baird, good play in around the box. That's what we signed him for. Not so much to score goals, but to set him up and be the hold-up man. We'll see what else he can do this season. But yeah, brilliant. It was great. It was great to get a dub. I don't want to get too carried away and say everything is just hunky-dory now because it's far from over. So. But it was good to get a dub against, great team this weekend.
Yeah. Jose, what were your thoughts on LAFC versus the Rapids this past weekend?
Yeah, it was good to see Vela back. That was the first thing I look up when I see the starting lineup. As LAFC last steps, it was nice to see Sifu entering instead of Blessing. When it comes to Blessing, I like him better when he comes to the bench. The opposite team is a little bit more tired, and you have a player with a dynamic of Blessing. I think it's better when he comes to the bench when he starts from the beginning. And the defense, yes, Blackman has his good moments, his bad moments. And then I'm very happy with Pablo Cisnegas' performances. He's been very solid on the goal, even though Bob said at the press conference that he could do a little bit better on the Michael Barrios goal. But it's good that LAFC is beginning to find their solid starting 11. That's really important. And it will be interesting how many minutes Vela plays with the next team. We're going to be some changes that we're going to see. So, yeah, it was good to see it, and they got good results.
Yeah, no, it was a good result. So I think maybe if you put your headphones, it may be easier because I think we hear some crackling, some noise crackling. I don't know if that's from LAFC Live or from Josue. I think it may be coming from you. So that way, I think it make it easier and smooth out the audio for everybody there. I'm just gonna mute his mic real quick, but yeah, no, I think the thing about this, it's so impressive that how they came out. They started off hot, right? And the thing, right, Diego Rossi got that first goal in the 14th minute, and that's the way you want to start this game, right? And then you see that pass, from I believe it was Corey Baird, and how smooth it was, and obviously Diego Rossi did what he had to do. So I'm gonna play the first goal right here that Diego Rossi's.
Here's the final third. Baird separates for Rossi. Diego Rossi scores a goal that LAFC needed like no one's business. As sweet as candy. Diego Rossi, who scored against the Galaxy, scores here, aided by Corey Baird. 1-0 LAFC.
It's a fantastic way to pop off the back shoulder of the back line there, free up that space and that little diagonal run. You see Vela cutting across. There's so many dynamic runs in that play, and it starts a few seconds earlier there where Vela gets the ball when the attack starts, and he draws 3 players in, which is going to unbalance this team. But Baird to be able to look off the shot, and hit that little diagonal is fantastic start to the match.
Great execution there.
The thing that I like about that play is, what Corey Baird's decision making. You get to really see how he really understands the game. He really understands the play. He had another option to pass it on his right hand side. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he had other options, and he waited. He waited because he knew that Diego Rossi run was going to come, and it was just he played it so smooth and perfect. And obviously Diego Rossi does what he does best and puts in the back of the net. What were your thoughts on the play there, LAFC Live?
Well, if you notice, when Corey Baird goes diagonal and you see Rossi make that little run, that was beautiful, because it seems like the past couple games before this, we've been so stagnant and just standing around. And to the build-up play, we actually see players making diagonal runs, which is what we used to do before. So hopefully that comes back to us. So we just got to be creative with the ball, because it seems like, like I said, the past couple games we've just been standing around, being stagnant, waiting for one guy to do, a couple of flips and tricks, and just, because sometimes this team relies on Rossi or Carlos Vela with the ball, and they're just standing there, just watching instead of making the run. So sometimes the other players, like maybe Nancy Westa, Mark Anthony Kay, or even like a Corey Baird, has the ball at their feet. We expect these other players to make overlapping runs, diagonal runs, to get in the box and get the goals, like you saw in that Rossi one right there.
Yeah, Jose, what were your thoughts on that, the playmaking skills of Corey Baird and that goal?
It was amazing. It looked like a 2019 goal from LAFC. It was good to see Corey Baird participating in that play. And yeah, the sharpness that was missing from the last couple of games against Houston, against Seattle, and any others, it was finally solved with that accuracy from Diego Rossi. So it was good to see that play from the trio, and especially Corey Baird participate. His level will improve now that he has Diego and Carlos next to him.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was very impressive. The way that the way Corey Baird, and I know a lot of people didn't get to see the preseason, but I saw a lot of this from Corey Baird in the preseason games. Right, they weren't televised. Fans weren't able to come, but I saw that Corey Baird was able to be a playmaker and understood his role with Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi. Right, you don't necessarily need them to score goals, but you need them to do right there. That's what you need Corey Baird to do, right? It's to find Diego Rossi where the space is at, understand where Diego Rossi is going to make that run, put it perfectly there, right? That's what I saw. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see it because of Carlos Vela's injury, Diego Rossi's injury. Right now week 6, going to week 6, that's what we finally saw. So hopefully everybody's able to stay healthy and we're able to see more of those playmaking abilities of Corey Baird, Diego Rossi, and Carlos Vela. Quickly in the chat, G-Man says good vibes. CeeLo says Kool-Aid Man is back, but a good goal though. I don't know what you're referring to there. And Galaxy Guy Podcast means good vibes.
I think he's referring to Max Bretos when he goes, yeah. I think that's maybe that's what I'm assuming. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that now. That I understand that.
Yeah.
So so we go down, right? It's the 33rd minute, and then obviously the Diego Rossi puts LAFC up 2-0, and you start rolling, and you feel like okay, maybe Carlos Vela is probably gonna play the whole game. They're up 2-0, and maybe he gets subbed off. But I have the second goal here, and I want to play this because the job that this team looks a lot different with Carlos Vela on, right? And it's completely noticeable from the first, from the first touch, what big of an impact he does. Obviously, it's Carlos Vela. I think he's the best player in the league, and that's what these type of players tend to do. So here's a goal.
Vela. Oh, great touch, Rossi! Diego Rossi doubles it, and an absolute dart from Carlitos. And everyone here at Bank of California Stadium can exhale. It feels like the good times are coming back. LAFC 2-0.
Be able to drive with pace, players shaking you off, and you're just constantly throwing them off you, and then deliver a pinpoint pass through. It looks like Yarborough there tries to guess a little bit, but again, to feed him on his front foot, great first touch. This is something that Rossi's gotten so much better at, is that first touch forward.
So that's what we're used to seeing. That's what we're used to, the LAFC team that we're used to seeing and scoring those type of goals, right? Vela assisting Rossi scoring those goals. Let's talk about that. LAFC Live. Give us your thoughts on that play and the impact Carlos Vela had in that first half.
Well, shout out to number 2 on Colorado for horrible defending. It was wide, it was wide open right there. I don't know if you can see the gap. It was just perfect ball. I mean, that was. Well, football is an easy game if you know how to play decisively, like Carlos Vela does, and he made it look at times like it was easy. The touches, you can see his impact was much needed for this LAFC team. We have been depleted. I do have that saying, it's LAFC, not Vela FC. At times we like to rely on him, which most MLS teams rely on. Their huge DP player at times, but. You can see how important he is, not only as a player, but as a leader. I know sometimes his captain abilities and whatnot are questions in the later stages of the season and playoffs. But for right now, get him back to speed, get him that 60 to 70 minutes. We're 2-0 up, shut down shop, which we'll probably hit on. But it was nice to see him back out there. Loved it.
Let's say, what were your thoughts on Carlos Vela's playmaking ability?
Not a surprise at all. He has done that for years, and he has done that for his time on LAFC. It's something that we are used to see, but it was nice to see it once again. You know, the team level improves as once Vela is on the field. Does LAFC depends on him? Maybe, maybe not. But like he was saying, like what happened when Ronaldo left Real Madrid? What happens when Barcelona doesn't play with Messi? You know, like it's something that happens around the world, and it was good to have Vela back, and of course Diego Rossi scoring. I was surprised that he played so well after he was not called at the Uruguayan national team, which was something really surprising. But you know, the team is back. It's not a reason to get overexcited. When the team loses, they are not the worst team in the world. When the team wins, they are not the best team in the world. You know, there needs to be balance. But last Saturday's game, it was a good step to go to that 2019 level.
Yeah, and I think on this is what LAFC and all Black and Gold Nation is used to seeing, right? These type of performances from Carlos Vela, from Diego Rossi, and this is what you're used to, and this was you're accustomed to. And I don't know if you guys saw the little clip that LAFC played, prior to the game. That they had my voice on their pregame video. I don't know if you guys saw that. So I didn't know that I was gonna be on there. So I thought I was surprised about that. But like I said on that video, like LAFC has the biggest target on their back. They do. They do. I mean,
Yeah.
Because of MLS, because of Carlos Vela, because of Bob Bradley, and the pieces they have, obviously going into their fourth year, right? And Corey Baird mentioned this. He's like, I'm happy to play with the team. Paraphrasing here, that is expected to win every single game. Obviously when you're not winning, obviously the criticism, the pressure is going to mount up. But I mean, I felt like this was a perfect game to do that, and they answered quickly and right away. Katie in the chat says that second goal and the play leading up to it was what I've been dreaming of for the past few months. Yay. Yeah, I think everybody, kind of felt relieved because, we know the talent that they have and everything that they've been doing. And right, you just want to get this team on the right direction. So when you LAFC Live, when you saw this game, right, going into that second half, what were your thoughts? The LAFC's up 2-0.
I thought for sure it was going to end 4-0. That was honest to God. I thought I was going to end 4-0. But another mental mistake in the back. Barrios is a dangerous player. He scored a goal. Pretty much made the game a lot more nervous than it had to be. So when Vela did come out, it was the right decision to do. And then we went more. I don't know if we kind of did go more defensive. Obviously, if Kim Moon and I believe Farfan came on, and Danny Masovsky, who's not really a goal threat. He's more of just a workhorse, if you want to call him that, and just more for defensive play. But we did the job, and the right calls were made for this game. We didn't, get too excited and want to go for the kill. So, we in the end we got the points. That's all that matters. We got 3 more home games coming up in a row. So we got to really capitalize on these. I'm talking maybe. I don't get carried away, but it'd be nice to win all 4 of them. We already got 1 down, 3 more to go, so we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, Jose, what were your thoughts on the second half performance of LAFC and how they were able to hold on to the lead?
My thoughts were that at this game, it didn't matter how you won as long as you win. There will be more time to figure out some mistakes. For example, in the Colorado goal, there is the rule in soccer that when you're a central defender, you should not head the ball to the center. Head it to the left, to the right, or to your goalkeeper, but not to the center. And that is something I think Eddie Segura did on the second goal, and then Barrio scored very well. And I think one of the players slipped in that play. So there were some little details, but it's something that the team can work during the week. And defensively, the team has improved a lot. I wasn't expecting the 4-5-0 that we used to see. That will come. That will come. No, I'm not saying to
no. Hey, we like you being honest, but go ahead and finish.
Yeah, like I was expecting a win. It didn't matter how, but a win. But yeah, that's what I was expecting, and so yeah, those are my thoughts of the second half. And the mistake on the goal is something that I'm sure Bob Bradley will be working on, because he's a guy that focuses on, as he always said on the press conferences, the little details.
Yeah, and I think at the game, got to ask, we got to talk to Bob, and he mentioned Pablo Cisnegas. He mentioned, I'm paraphrasing here, that he felt like Pablo Cisnegas could have done a better job, but I would disagree. I think that was more on the defense's fault than on Pablo Cisnegas, because when I look at the replay, I wish I should have pulled that up as well, but I don't have it. It was more, I think, on Eddie Segura. And the center backs there, they didn't do a good job defensively, right? And when that goal came in, I was like, okay, we got a game here, So, but I also want to talk about the substitutions. Obviously, we know Danny Masovsky came in for Carlos Vela. I believe it was in the 60th minute. Barrios scored his goal was in the 50th minute, and then Latif came in the 75th minute for Jose Fuentes. And to your point, LFC Live, Kim Moon came in from Corey Baird for the defensive, strategy, and put Marco Fafan also came in for Chiqui Palacios, and they switched to that 3-5-2 formation that they're starting to implement. Let's talk about that 3-5-2 formation. Obviously, that's something that we've seen them a couple of times. I think they're still getting used to, how they play. How do you like that formation, LFC Live?
It's always nice to see Bob trying something different other than the usual 4-3-3, which I'm always up for new ideas. Sometimes they're going to work, sometimes they're not, but it's the fact that you're willing to get out of your comfort zone to get a win, because like I've told you in the past, Gio, sometimes when you're playing LAFC, this is our fourth season now, so it's kind of easy to game plan if you have the same formation every single game. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if we're up and trying to protect the lead, go to 3-5-2 if you want to, which you did, and it worked. So, but is it going to work the next game? Like, say we're playing like Seattle in a playoff game and we're up 2-1. Is that going to work? It depends on the situation and the type of night, what's going on. But yeah, 3-5-2. If we're grinding out a game, go for it. Get defensive. If we have to park the bus. Especially if it's a game that we're desperate to win, like we needed. Not if it was a playoff game, it'd be the same situation. If you got to park the bus. So 3-5-2, 4-3-3, 4-4-2. At this point, whatever gets us dubs, that's what I want to go with. So yeah.
Yeah, Jose, what were your thoughts on this new formation that LAFC is implementing?
It worked, because even though the score was 2-1 at the last minute, and with the many changes, because when in part of the game, like the 75th minute and beyond, it felt like one of those Mexico-friendly games at the United States, where you make a lot of changes and the game kind of breaks, because of the many changes that happened. However, even though the game was 2-1, I didn't feel any threat for LAFC. Was that because of the 3-5-2 formation, or was that because of the level of Colorado? Either or, it worked. Let's see what happens with teams like Seattle, with teams like the Galaxy, who attacked pretty well. Other teams in the East as well. Colorado didn't represent that big threat, but the 3-5-2 worked at this occasion. Let's see what happens when this takes place on the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Colorado did present with Barrios at times. You saw the speed. There was a couple of threats in the first half, but during the second half, when obviously they went to the 3-5-2, and I think that's what I asked. And I ended up asking Tristan Blackman that does he feel this is more of a defensive formation or offensive formation or both? I'm going to paraphrase here. He pretty much said that, they're still trying to – he said it could pretty much go either way, But obviously for this game, it worked out defensively. I think when you look at LAFC in the 4-3-3 formation, right, that is offensive-minded, right? There's no question about that. But on top of that, they tend to press up with that formation. And I think with this 3-5-2, if you got a lead, right, and you got your horses coming in, you have Kim Moon, right, you put them out on the right wing, because it could essentially turn into five in the back, and 3 in the midfield, depending how you want to play it. But that could definitely switch up the game and may help your defense a lot more. And you don't need to push up as much when you're leading a game, say 2-1 in the 70th minute or 75th minute, right? It makes sense to change your formation. And that's what we haven't seen from LAFC and Bob Bradley. And I think that's what we want to see. And I think that's what's expected, like to your point, because the teams already know how to plan for them. But if Bob Bradley and LFC start implementing this 3-5-2 or other formations, then it makes their offense, it makes their defense a lot more difficult to plan against, right? And I think that's what we want to see with LFC, those second half adjustments. Let's talk about Jose Fuentes getting the start. LFC Live. What were your thoughts on him?
I was very excited. I've been calling for Cifuentes to be starting, but as you know, my trio is a bit different than Bob's. It would be Cifuentes, Blessing, and Atuesta. and Mark Anthony Kane coming on later in the game to be, I guess, the blessing role, if you want to call it. But so Fuentes, I feel like he still has a little ways to go to develop a little bit more. He's still a bit raw, I think, at times. And I know he has an axe for going forward, and he's more of an, I want to say, offensive thinking player, but I like what I've seen so far. And I think his development is going to be key this season for us to have depth. And also a midfielder that we haven't seen to go off topic is Ganella. I mean, yes, I don't think he's the best player on LAFC from what I've seen so far, but I mean, he's the 6th highest player on the team, and he's played a total of 29 minutes in the games of the season. I'm not sure when he's going to get his chance, but it'd be nice to see him on the field for at least 5 minutes at the end of the game if we're up like 3-0 at some point.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why you might need to see Pancho Ginella is because of Eduardo Tuesta, and that's that they play the same role. So I think that's the only difficult thing because of he tends to play the same role. But Jose, what were your thoughts on Jose Cifuentes and the job he did?
A lot of energy from Sifu. He was pretty dynamic, participating both defensively and offensively. Was he the one he got in a little beef with one of the Colorado players on a run? I think he received a yellow card, so that's something.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It was him, right? So, slow it down a little bit in that sense. But this is a type of player you want on your team, not on the playing level, but on the energy level. A player that runs, that goes to war, that participates on the offense as well. It's good to see him back, but as we were mentioning earlier, areas of improvement in Sifu's case, maybe a little bit of softness when it comes to attacking other players.
Yeah, obviously, their international call-ups are going to be up here, but I think to your point, LAFC Live, I think didn't Diego Rossi get called up in the preliminary roster? I think LAFC Kui on the chat, he put that up there.
Yeah.
So we may or may not see Diego Rossi. We'll have to see if he makes the final roster. I don't know how that works. I haven't kept up with that, but I think that's another thing we should keep an eye on, because I think I saw that in the chat that he has posted. So we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye out with that. But another player, guys, the guys in the chat, if you guys have any questions, make sure to just drop them in the chat, and I'll pull up those questions for any of these guys up here. But another player that I want to talk about, obviously Pablo Cisnegas, right? I think he's done a great job ever since Kenneth Vermeer, ended up deciding to leave the team, and I think Pablo Cisnegas has looked solid. He's looked a lot more confident, and he's been able to do a lot more things. A lot more things there, and not necessarily feel the pressure. That his job may be taken away. Jose, what are your thoughts on Pablo?
As Bob told me in the press conferences, he was not tested a lot, but when he has been required, he has responded pretty well. I don't think there is any responsibility on the goals he has received.
Yeah, LAC Live. What are your thoughts on Pablo Cisnegas?
I thought he's looked great this season. Like Josue said, a lot of the goals that he's conceded have been either one-on-ones or, like for example, the Chicharito goal. He was left wide open. So what's he supposed to do? He did get a hand on it, but obviously wasn't enough. And then the goal this past weekend against Colorado was not his fault, obviously, as well. It was a defensive error. So I think he's held his own, and he's looked a lot better than Vermeer last season. So it's good to have a reliable goalie so far. Let's see how he does in the pressure games coming up at the end of the season.
And in a league that is criticized for the level of the goalkeepers that it has, having a solid goalkeeper will make a big difference.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I have. I mean, he's looking good so far. We'll get into the standings. I want to see how LAFC stands. G-Man says, Gio, LAFC Life, Josue, how can I be like you? Hey, man, just I mean, we talk, pretend that you're some soccer and just start a podcast and then just invite people. I'm just kidding. G-Man, we got to get you on, G-Man. G-Man's always amazing. He's always in the chat. So here we'll pull up the standings. Obviously, the standings came out for week 6. We got obviously Seattle first place with 17 points. LAFC have moved up from last place, 13th place, in the 9th seed with 8 points. Obviously, I don't think that the black and gold should ever be in last place with the type of talent that they have. So they moved up. That's a great thing. Well, obviously we know LA Galaxy is number 3 and stuff. It's still early week 6, but when you look at that chart, you want to get as many points as you can. And another thing, looking at this Western Conference, it's not an easy conference. Every team is tough. If you look from the number 1 to number 8, every team is going to be tough, and LAFC is not going to have necessarily an easy game. What are your thoughts, LAFC Live, when you look at this conference?
I think it's more competitive than the Eastern Conference. Maybe that's controversial to, I guess, some hardcore MLS fans. Honestly, I guess speaking to that, because the Eastern has the East side has Atlanta, Orlando, who's looking pretty good. Nani, New England Revolution apparently is really good this season. They've been irrelevant for the past couple of years. And also, New York City FC, we play this weekend, is not too bad either. But I think the Western Conference, you have your Seattle, you have your Galaxy, you have us, you have Sporting KC, who's always decent. So it's a really tough conference. Obviously, if you look at the standings that you're showing, we win one game, and if the teams above us lose, then we jump all the way up. I think, was it the 4th place or 3rd place? So I mean, this is kind of like, I guess I could reference the West and the NBA. Yeah, it's always going to be neck and neck in the West. The West is best. So it's gonna be it's gonna be tough all the way. But you see that we won one game, we jump up to 4th place. But obviously, Houston, Colorado, and a couple of those teams will lose or draw. But yeah, very tough, very tough. And it's gonna be exciting too, because you never know who's gonna win in MLS.
That's true. Jose, what are your thoughts on LAFC and playing in the Western?
Well, as a fun fact, two of the 3 teams that have not been unbeaten, Nashville and Orlando, play on the East. Maybe that tells you something. And Seattle hasn't been unbeaten, but Seattle is in another level. My thoughts on the West is that everything can change in any instant. You can lose one game and be at the last place. You can win or draw a couple, and you can be competing once again. It's very unpredictable. That's the word I'm looking for. Unpredictable. You never know what's happened. You have very good players, and it's really entertaining to see, because when there is a match between 2 teams on the West, you cannot say this is a favorite team by far. It's very, very
tight.
Even, very tight. Yeah, very tight. So that's what I think of the West. It's very entertaining to watch games between teams from that conference.
Yeah, Ian 1984 in the chat says better defensive record this year so far. If our offensive record were how it usually is, we'd be on top. I mean, make a fair point. I think there's obviously, to that point, Vela and Rossi have been injured. So obviously, those are a lot of goals right there, right? Diego Rossi, Golden Boot winner. Carlos Vela, the Golden Boot winner the year before that. So I'm with you on that. I think now if you get a healthy Carlos Vela, looks like Rossi's finally starting to get on his momentum and starting to get, find his feet under him through the season, right? He's 2 goals, things are going to open up to him, and people aren't going to be able to just game plan for him when Carlos Vela is also playing on the other side or down the middle with him. And I think that's what's going to be exciting, right? So if we look forward, right, LAFC play NYCFC this Saturday as well. So I think that's going to be an interesting game, because right after that then it's the 2-week break, right? It's a 2-week break, and then LFC come back home June 19th, where we're expected full 100% capacity. Fans should be have a bunch of 100% capacity there. What am I trying to say? There's like a bunch of fans are going to be there, right? So that's going to be exciting. So you have Houston, and then you have FC Dallas right after that. So these next 3 games are very winnable games. I know you talked about this earlier, LAFC Live, but give us your thoughts, obviously, going into this Saturday.
This Saturday, to be honest with you, I expect to win. I really do. I saw the schedule. Like I said, I honestly think, maybe I'm a little biased, but on this 4-game home stretch, we already got 3 points on one of them. I think we can get, if we play to the best of our abilities, Vela at least plays 65 to 75 minutes, we can get 12 points. But then there's that pessimistic side of me which says, okay, well, if this happens and then he doesn't play and, someone does this, then I could see maybe 9 points out of the 12. We might drop a game, and that might be due to a mental error or, set piece or corner kick or, marking like that. But I'm pretty optimistic about the 4-game home stretch here, and I could see us getting 12 points, which we desperately need. And the fans will be back, like you said, 100%. 32-52 will be rocking. We're going to have a lot more fans, obviously. The outside atmosphere, the players will sense it. Hopefully that will get a kick up the backside and put in the full gear.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Jose, obviously you were at the game. We're both at the game. The 32-52 obviously is a big presence for LAFC. It was in full capacity, but it sure felt like full capacity with the 32-52.
But it felt like a good capacity. In this pandemic that we are, even if there is a stadium with 200 people, it feels like Estadio Azteca with 1,100, So, yeah, it was good to see the 32-52 back, and at one point of the game, I think the whole stadium was chanting together. You know, it was around the 88th minute, so it was nice to see them back. The atmosphere is. If I'm gonna miss listening to players and coaches shouting loud, I'm gonna miss that because
That's true.
that's fun. That's fun, but the atmosphere was great, and it's important for fans to be back because we are in very tough times, and some entertainment, it's always welcome.
Yeah, and the thing, obviously, right? We're not gonna hear what Bob says every. We're not gonna hear every cuss word Bob says. Tristan, forward. Yeah, so I mean that is one good point that you make, right? We're not necessarily gonna hear or everything that the coaches or players talk, right? But obviously that's important that we have fans back, that we're going to be 100% capacity come June 9th, June 19th. And I mean, I know everybody is excited for it. Even myself, I saw some of the fans. I got to talk with some of the fans, catch up with them. It's always a good, cool vibe, and I think obviously sports it helps us get away from, our day-to-day, our normal life. And, what better way than just to go to the Bank of California, watch them win, right? You have a couple of beers or water or whatever you like to indulge, right? Because I know not everybody drinks, but yeah, and you just watch a great game. And I think that's the thing that's exciting looking forward. And it's summertime too, right? It's summertime too. Have a great time. But to your point, LAFC Live, this LAFC may have to make the Bank of California a tough place to play, and they do that with their fans, right? And and if you're looking at these three teams, right, playing NYCFC, start off this Friday, right? You make it tough with them, especially with the fans. Houston Dynamo coming in, FC Dallas, and you have Carlos Vela. Three very, very winnable games right there. Very winnable games. You're talking about, if you look up what 3 times 3 is 9, right? And then you add plus the 8 points, that they have right now. They potentially could get 17 points. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself now.
Right.
You go game by game, right? But that's what we have to look at for this homestand. And if you're LAFC, right? And the other positive thing on top of this is that they're going to have that 2-week break. That's going to help Carlos Vela even more.
Yep.
Opoku, hopefully, depending on his injury, I know he has a knee injury. He wasn't available for this past game. Hopefully they can get him back because he's been explosive off the bench, but we haven't seen him just yet with Carlos Vela. What are your thoughts on Opoku potentially coming back after the break?
It'd be great. It'd be a great addition to have him back because I was excited for him when he scored one of the goals, looked good early on, and then he goes to Vegas and gets injured, which is unfortunate. And by the way, that Vegas team is not very good. They
lost again.
They've been getting 5 past them, 2 consecutive games or something like that. But I won't touch more on that. That's another thing for another day. But yeah, it's unfortunate because Opoku I picked for a young player this season for LAFC, and hopefully he can still prove me right. Because anytime he gets on the field, I kind of expect him to do something. He's always he's like Blessing, kind of like the energy that we need, but with a bit more skill and with a goal mindset. So it'd be nice to have him back after 2 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Brian Rodriguez, right? We know Almeria ended up winning this past yesterday, and that's big, right? So I'm going to try to break this down. You guys help me out the best way I can, because I believe the first and second seed, right, are automatically they get first place, right? They get promotion, right? So for number 3 to 6, they have to play a playoff game, right? And then from that playoff game, the winner, the third, will get that third spot, right? So things are over for Almeria and Brian Rodriguez, and we know that there's a purchase clause if Almeria make first division. Jose, what are your thoughts on going on with the situation going on?
Well, it's a very controversial one. You have a player that has a good level. He has a lot of skills. But like I said last week, his attitude toward LAFC, toward Almeria, hasn't not been very good. It's not a good relationship that he will have with his dressing room. Like I said last week, this is a personal opinion. I realized that Brian wasn't reliable on the CONCACAF Champions League. In the game against America, he was brought to the field at the 80-something minute. Same thing against Tigres, and he didn't play against America. He brought here Opoku, who we were mentioning earlier, and he scored an important goal against Cruz Azul. So I don't see him fitting in the LAFC system. He's a good player, but like quality is not everything. You have to have a positive attitude toward your team.
100%. And before we get to LAFC Live, Andy Dio says, I'm here for LAFC Live's Almeria segment. Let's go.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate
Live,
it.
It's all you now. It's all you. No pressure.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. I'm the biggest Almeria fan there is right now. I got my jersey on the way. I got my scarf. I got my water bottle. I got everything. No, but for real though, they did clinch a playoff spot. There he is. LAFC Hawaii's chiming in. There we go. We are all Almeria fans. We're hoping they get promoted. And it's funny because Almeria fans from what LAFC Kui said, shout out to him. They're saying that they don't want to get promoted because they don't want to buy them. So I don't know. I mean, that kind of sucks. You want to be in La Liga. You want to be playing against Real Madrid and Barcelona and them. But Brian Rodriguez, the whole thing with, I believe the player that he got in a fight with was Sadiq, which is a couple weeks ago, which this incident happened. That was kind of the last straw for me. And then him going on interview after interview, crying and complaining and just posting random pictures on Instagram, missing pen and roll and whatnot. It's getting kind of old now and childish, to be honest with you. Like I said to you before, Gio, he's a better Instagram model than footballer. So I'm just over him, to be honest. But I really want Almeria to win. They're in the playoff spot. I believe right now, if the season ended today, because they still have to play one more game, they are the fourth. They're going to finish fourth, so they'll be playing the fifth seed. So we got to really hope that they pull it off and get promoted to La Liga, because I don't want to see this guy ever again at LAFC, which is a shame. It's a real shame, because I thought for sure this guy was going to be special in some way, like Diego Rossi, but it just never happened. And I really hope that the LAFC, customer service or sales has like a refund for the people that bought the Brian Rodriguez jersey, like an exchange. That'd be fair. Like if you bought a jersey, exchange it for the new jersey, the new flex one. How about that? That's fair.
Hey, you spoke the truth. There we go. There go the spicy takes.
I used to work at the HQ. Maybe I can talk to them.
Thank you. Yeah. Do it for the fans, man. Hey, LAFC owes them, man. We've been locked up, and they deserve a new jersey. And if they have to trade on Brian Rodriguez for a new flex, so be it. Yeah.
The thing that I will say is everything that you guys are talking. Well, not everything, right? I knew this months ago. I figured this out months ago, and I started talking about it. But I also got a lot of pushback, because obviously he's a DP player, right, and a lot of expectations. But I noticed his immaturity. I noticed, all these things, but now people can actually see it, right, because he's doing it, right. The interview, I think that was his worst mistake. Him doing that interview, him going to Uruguayan press, because that to me just lowered his value. And he talked about going back to Peñarol. You're still with Almeria. Yeah, LAFC still owns you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't do that. And I think everybody, even that were supporters of him, I think after that interview, you really got to see how immature he is. And that's not a smart thing to do when you're still under contract. You don't do that when there's still games left in the season. I don't even think you do that at all. You just let your agent do it. You just let your agent handle that. But just to go out there and voice your opinion, you understand that, he doesn't understand the game yet, right? Because you talk to other players, oh, I love Almeria, I love LAFC. You got to talk in that way. You don't talk bad about the team, even though if you don't want to be there, because you just don't even do an interview like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think everybody got to see his immaturity. Everybody got to see that how he thinks and processes things. And I could only imagine what happened at LAFC and all the shenanigans that happened there, right? And Bob Bradley is not going to put up with that. I'm going to just tell you that. I know Bob Bradley has gone on record and said he'd love to have him back. I find that hard to believe.
That was political correct.
Exactly. I find that hard to believe, but I know what Bob Bradley's doing there as well. Well, I don't know what he's doing, but I can see, right? I can sense it out. But yeah, you just don't do that, and I think everybody's praying, like you said, all LAFC fans right now are America fans, because one, it opens up a DP spot, and you don't have the Brian Rodriguez hangover with you anymore. You get to move out the way, and as the Athletic reported, low 8 figures, numbers there. So you're gonna make the LAFC played 11.5, whether it's 10 million or 19, 20 million, which I highly doubt. It may be anywhere from 10. I'll probably say 13. I know LAFC Kui had reported something out there, but anything between that, if you get anything, right, 8 figures, that I think you're just gonna be happy, right, because of what has happened. So, looking forward, I think we should talk about, what are the options, right? I don't think we should name any players necessarily, but let's talk about positions, right? Do they need a number 9? Do they need a center back? What do they need? What should they use that DP spot on LFC Live?
Well, I was crying for a number 9 before the season started, and I'm still crying for a number 9 now. Yes, Corey Baird is, he's a striker that's not there to score goals, which is something that we desperately need because, like, we've had Vela these past injuries these past couple of years. He's getting injured a lot more now. He's getting up there in age. I know he's not like 40 or 38 or anything like that, but he is getting up there. So he's getting a little bit more fragile. So, a number 9 for a DP would be brilliant, in my opinion. If for some reason they don't go number 9, maybe the secondary position would be another midfielder. That could be a possibility. But honestly, that's probably the 2 positions. Number 1 priority, a number 9 striker, and a number 2, a midfielder. I won't name any names because we'll be here all day. But you've seen the names on the timeline and whatnot that we're all linked to and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. So hopefully one of those 2.
Yeah, and Jose, before we get to you, Andy makes a great point. If there's anything media in a player's native country will do is try to stir up controversy any way possible. That's why Brian Rodriguez doesn't understand the game, because he thinks he's going to go out here and people are going to listen to him. They're going to listen to you, but they're also going to spin it any way they can. And he also got fined. I think he ended up getting fined for that. Yep. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, Jose, if they obviously open up, I think a DP spot's going to open up regardless. I think it is open regardless. Regardless how Maria moves on or not, I don't see Brian Rodriguez coming back. But what should LAFC use that open DP spot on?
I agree. A number 9. I don't need to mention any names. You want to see some names? Go to Twitter. That's it. So a number 9, once was Ureña, Christian Ramirez. Dio was kind of the best. I don't know if LAFC Live agrees with me in that sense, but there needs to be a player that can score goals out of nowhere. A scramble play at the area and some ugly goals as well. We need LAFC needs that player to define games. You cannot depend on Vela if he's injured. Diego has appeared. Last season that was like that when Vela was gone. Diego Rossi took a principal role, but Diego Rossi is a Uruguayan national team player. He will never be always there. So yeah, a number 9 will be good. A player that can score you 10 or 20 goals, and yeah, as far as I will go, a player that is in MLS. That's all I will say when it comes to names. A player that knows the league and he doesn't need to adapt to the league itself.
I think, typically a DP player, when you spend that amount of money, I don't know if it's going to be an MLS player. I think it may be somewhere international. So
yeah, you're right.
I think that's the only thing to that. But I think whether it's a number 9, we know.
Or maybe you can give the I don't know if it's possible. You can give the DP to another LAFC player, for example, Atuesta. Who knows?
No, I think that they already settled that down. They already got him into contract. So I think this is, to me, the way I look at this. This next DP signing is for the future. It's not just here for a year, right? You want to bring in someone that's going to be there, one, to assist Carlos Vela, right? If it is going to be a number 9 or a midfield or whatever, because everybody knows that. Well, we can assume that this is probably Diego Rossi's last year. Atuesta maybe last year and a half, depending if he gets sold on next summer. We don't know the contract details. I know he signed for another year, so they may sell him on for next summer. But you got to assume that you got to replace those spots, right? You're going to have to replace Diego Rossi. You're going to have to replace Eduardo Tustin and Diego Rossi. So I think you really have to look at this, right? And a lot's going to tie into Brian Rodriguez, right? If they sell him on, right? If they're able to sell him on, then yeah, I can see a big name. But so far, all the players that we've seen LAFC linked to have been South American players. If we look at the trend, right? So right now, I wonder if they're going to go look in Europe, right? Because they haven't done that since Andre Huerta was the last one. I think he came from Portugal, and obviously he wasn't good. But you want to get this. I don't mean to bring up, but you want to get this right. You just want to get this next DP player right, and you want to get someone that's going to be help Carlos Vela, assist him offensively. 2, keep Carlos Vela. Because you don't know if Carlos Vela is going to sign over here, and make it interesting for them. Silo in the chat says Tecatito, Corona or Chucky Lozano from the
Not
Mexican.
yet.
I was gonna say I if I'm a fan of the Mexican national team, I don't want those players coming to LAFC. I want them going to bigger clubs. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy, but they shouldn't be coming to LAFC just yet. Maybe in 10 years.
You're right.
Yeah, no, because go ahead.
Jesus Corona has stayed in Porto way too long. He needs to move to another bigger league already.
Yeah, he needs to go to a bigger club, and we saw what he's done in the Champions League. He looks pretty solid over there. But yeah, Chucky Lozano, I think you still want to keep him at Napoli out there. I don't think you want him coming here, but I think whether it is a veteran number 9 player or someone else, I think that's what you want to look for, and how they're going to assist Carlos Vela and help Carlos Vela and help this team win a championship this year, because this is what it is. It's a championship year for LAFC, and that's what you want. So it's going to be very interesting right there. But I think the first piece is Brian Rodriguez and Almeria. We're gonna have to keep watching, because I think I looked at his contract. Brian Rodriguez's contract doesn't end till. Or loan doesn't end till June, till the end of June. Right. Obviously, national team call-ups are coming up here in a couple of weeks. I think June 9th, I want to say, Uruguay. Uruguay has a game, or World Cup qualifiers, I believe. Yeah. So they have June 3rd and June 8th. Right away, and we know Brian Rodriguez is going to be there. So obviously Almeria is not going to be playing during that time. So we're going to have to see what happens, after the international break and how they do.
Maybe a good performance in Copa America will have another team interesting on him. Who knows? Yeah. I'm just daydreaming.
LAFC Fuentes, LAFC's favorite player. G-Man getting creative. Efrain to LAFC.
No.
G-Man, are you giving up on Efrain over there? I don't think Efrain is a DP player, but this is what we have to look forward to in this next month is going to be very interesting. This next next 2 months for LFC, right?
It will be a long month. Oh, for sure.
A lot of rumors, a lot of stuff swirling around. And just to respond to that Horta comment, I had high hopes for that guy until he backpassed it in the Galaxy game. So after that, I was like, nope. That's it. He must have signed a contract with Galaxy before the game or something, like a 24-hour contract. He screwed us out of that game. So, yeah, never again. I don't want to hear that name.
As a fun fact, Garrett, I think last year when I was still at the store, there were some Horta jerseys there yet.
Were they on sale or
on sale? And Gabbard too.
Oh no! Oh, hey, I remember him. Yeah, that's another one that never worked out really, which is a shame because I had high hopes for that guy too. Yeah, there's a lot of names if you think about it that were hyped up, and yeah, less said the better about some of them. To be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be interesting because if LAFC start to roll, they start, as we can assume, if they start to roll and they start to turn things around here because they need to, and like I said, there's a big expectations from this team, right? And you're going to expect things. So I'm curious if John Thornton, the front office, what this next move is on these DP, right? And I think it has to be a player's going to come in here, impact LAFC and help LAFC win that championship that they've been talking about, right? This is the year. It's the 4th year. It's no secret. Like I said, it's no secret. Everybody's coming after LAFC. Everybody, every team.
We need a DP player that if Vela's not playing, the fan base can go, okay, Vela's not playing, but we got this DP in with Rossi and maybe let's say Corey Baird and Opoku, one of those three. They're like, okay, sweet. We got a good chance of winning this game. Not every game where Vela's out, we're like, oh God, are we going to win or are we going to tie? Oh no, oh this. So that's the kind of player I want. I want to be comfortable every game. I don't want to be sweating bullets just because one player's not playing. You know what I'm saying?
I think what the LAFC needs is a player like Filippo Inzaghi. Jose Mourinho described him once as a player that plays ugly but scores. We need that. The LAFC needs that type of player.
You're talking about Chicharito? Don't talk about Chicharito like that, man.
No, Filippo Inzaghi.
Inzaghi. Oh yeah. Inzaghi. Yes.
Just
that's
be
a type
there
of player.
and put the ball in the net.
Like a Carlos Tevez.
Yeah, kind of that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, one name we can already cross off the list who's going to Barcelona is Kun Agüero. Yeah, we there was a lot. Everybody, a lot of the MLS people, and we had talked about it. Him, LAFC Live. I know you had talked about him, but hey, he's not coming yet. yet. You know, he
Yes.
ain't coming yet to MLS. So, but I think that's one of the things that is going to make it interesting because there's going to be a lot of rumors. So, we'll see if LAFC get an international, an international player, get a European player, because I think those are the bigger names, but that's not been their DNA. So that's what I think. That's what I'm very interested to see what happens with the LAFC in this when this transfer market, and what the front office does, and I think it's gonna be very interesting. And I think this move could literally help them get to the next level. Because you have to look at this move as this guy is going to help us beat Seattle in the Western Conference, because I think that's the team to beat, right? No disrespect to any other team, but we see what Seattle's been doing, right? Seattle could fall off, but when it comes to playoff times, they show up, right? And you need a player that's going to be decisive, that's going to be aggressive, and be on their back line, because we know how aggressive Seattle can be towards other teams. So I think that's my mindset looking into that. Guys, drop down in the comment any questions that you have. Any final thoughts, LAFC Live?
Just very exciting weekend coming up. We got, like I said, the Champions League with LAFC football. Lakers in the playoffs playing right now. We got NHL playoffs. We got things going off all over the place. So, and things are getting slightly back to normal. So, pretty good start to 2021 so far, I guess, right? All around.
Yeah, so currently the Laker game is going on, so I definitely do want to watch that. So we're going to sign off. Josue, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
I want to see, if I were a LAFC fan, I would like to see more sharpness, like what happened, and more opportunities created from the black and gold. I think in total they created like 6 or 7 opportunities. In occasions, they make a lot of passes, but there is an opportunity to shoot, but instead of doing that, they pass it to their neighbor, to the player behind, to the player in the player in front, I think that what LAFC needs to improve, and they did a little bit this past Saturday, is to shoot more the ball into the goal. That's something that it will be interesting to see, and it will something else will be to see how many minutes Carlos Vela play, and how the team reacts when Carlos Vela is not on the field.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. G-Man, final comment. Jordan Morris to LAFC. Got some jokes here. Well, he's injured. He's out. So, G-Man, I see you trying to get creative there.
That guy got me in a lot of trouble one time on a tweet that I put. So I don't want him over at LAFC.
Well, I don't think Seattle's going to give him up, unfortunately, even though he's injured and whatever he's going through. But guys, that's going to wrap things up. LAC Live. Let the people know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at WeAreLAFC Live. I have been posting on Instagram. WeAreLAFC Live on Instagram. Gio's stories, we're just reposting them on the Insta story. But mostly Twitter. You guys know where you can find me, running the polls, doing the interactions. Ask the question today, who you guys got in the Euros. A couple interesting ones. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where you can follow me at.
Josue?
I got England and Spain for the Euro Cup for your question. And
there we
go. Please follow me Twitter and Instagram at JosueLH686, JosueLH686. You will be informed and entertained, I promise.
Yeah, guys, definitely give both of these guys a follow if you haven't already. You guys can follow me at Joe Garcia LA, but also make sure to follow us on LA Soccer Hub. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, turn on the notifications so you can be alerted when we go live. Also follow us on Twitter, because this is also going live on Twitter as well. And for those of you guys listening, every Tuesday night we're talking LAFC. We're talking black and gold at 7 p.m. So if you guys want to join us on the live stream, you guys want to ask us questions, comments, or whatever, come on in, be part of this community. We're growing. It's exciting to have you guys, chime in and talk, and pick our brain. We also want to hear from you guys. So for LAFC Live, for Jose, I'm Gio. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.